Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the book of Hosea. And today we're really going to focus on chapters 1 through 3, in which the prophet Hosea lives the message of a faithless covenant people, the message that idolatry is adultery, and that God's people have been adulterous to Him. This is hard. This is hard to read. It's supposed to be hard to read. Some of it's violent. It's extreme. It's heartbreaking, and it's supposed to be, because divorce is all those things. And God not only makes the prophet go through this to communicate what it means, He makes us go through it as well as we read this. This is not, 1 Corinthians 13. It's not that at all. This is about betrayal. This is about broken hearts. This is about confusion. It's about the violence of betrayal. It's about all of that. And it's about what happens to God's people when they break their covenant with Him, and how He feels about that, and what the necessary consequences are. But ultimately, it's also about the possibility of renewal. The marriage covenant formula in Old Testament times was, "I am your husband, you are my wife." That's the formula. The divorce formula is the opposite of that. You are not my wife, I am not your husband. And those formulas carried legal weight. They were the actual severing of a covenant that had been established by the marriage. And God is delivering for 5/6 of His people, the northern kingdom. He's divorcing them. They have been unfaithful. They themselves have broken the covenant by their adultery, their idolatry, and their foreign alliances, and therefore He is divorcing them, which they have necessitated by their actions. Okay, I'm going to read chapter 1, verses 1 through 9. The word of the Lord came to Hosea the son of Beeri during the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and during the days of Jeroboam the son of Joash, king of Israel. When the Lord first spoke through Hosea, the Lord Yahweh said to Hosea, "Go, take for yourself a wife of prostitution, and have children of prostitution, for the land commits flagrant prostitution, forsaking Yahweh." So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. And the Lord said to him, "Name him Jezreel, for yet a little while, and I will punish the house of Jehu for the blood of Jezreel, and I will put an end to the kingdom of the house of Israel. And it will come about on that day that I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel." Then she conceived again and gave birth to a daughter, and the Lord said, "Name her Lo-Rumah, for I no longer will have compassion on the house of Israel, that I should ever forgive them. But I will have compassion on the house of Judah, and deliver them by the Lord their God, and will not deliver them by bow, sword, battle, or horses, or horsemen." When she had weaned Lo-Rumah, she conceived and gave birth to a son, and the Lord said, "Name him Lo-Ami, for you are not my people, and I am not your God." This is a really difficult passage. To order a prophet to do this, to marry a woman that will not be faithful, a woman who has chosen a life of prostitution, and perhaps even cultic prostitution in the temples of Baal. And to know that a woman has chosen this life, or maybe didn't choose this life, but is in this life and will return to this life, and then to have children. This is awful. This is awful. This is just awful for this man, for these children. The names Jezreel. Jezreel was a place of vicious violence, where the house of Jeroboam established itself through murder, and is a place that became associated with judgment. And so the first child is named for that valley. And I'm going to bring the same level of violence upon you that you brought yourselves. And then the Loruma, no compassion, no mercy. I've loved this people and have forgiven and forgiven and forgiven and forgiven, and no more, no more. I can't do this anymore. And then lo ami, that is the divorce. That's the divorce decree. This is the official divorce decree. You are not my people, and I am not your God. I am divorcing you. And then God talks about what he's going to do and how this makes him feel. And it's awful to read through these verses. Chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. Say to your brothers, Ami, my people. Say to your sisters, Ruhama, mercy. Say to say to your people, the people who have mercy, who are my people. Say, contend with your mother, contend. She's not my wife. I'm not her husband. I let her put away, and let her put away her harlotry from her face, and her adultery from between her breasts, lest I strip her naked and expose her as on the day she was born. I will also make her like a wilderness, make her like the desert land, and slay her with thirst. I will have no compassion on her children, because they are the children of harlotry. Their mother has played the harlot. She who conceived them has acted shamefully. She said, I will go after my lovers who give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, my oil and my drink. This is the way I've been treated. And now I'm going to expose her nakedness to the world. And I'm going to leave her destitute. If she wants these people, if she wants these men instead of me, she can have them and see how they treat her. But that will happen after I expose her for the woman she is. There's just a level of hurt behind all this that is just palpable. It's just beating. The exposed and the torn and broken beating heart of God is here, exposed to us, and it will be again the loving beating broken heart of God in chapter 11, which we'll get to later. But let's end this part with chapter 3, the 5 verses of chapter 3, in which after he has divorced Gomer, God says, okay, I want you to go pay the money to buy her back. The Lord said to me, go again, love a woman who is loved by her husband, yet an adulteress, even as the Lord loves the sons of Israel, though they turn to other gods and love raisin cakes. I don't know what that means. So I bought her for myself for 15 shekels of silver and an omer and a half of barley. He knows the amount of money on the check that he had to pay to get his wife back. They had to pay to her pimp or the temple priests, and the amount of barley. It's just awful. And I said to her, you shall stay with me for many days. You shall not play the harlot. You shall not have another man. And so I will be towards you. For the sons of Israel will remain for many days without king or prince, without sacrifice or sacred pillar, without ephod or household idols. And afterward the sons of Israel will return and seek the Lord their God and David their king, and they will come trembling to the Lord and to his goodness in the last days. Verse 5, looks forward to the Messiah, because David's already dead. But the man who sits on his throne, who will save us, and to whom we all turn for salvation, is the Messiah himself. And so there is not a general promise of return like there is for Judah, but there will be for all the world, wherever we exist, through Jesus Christ. Okay, we'll talk more about God's broken heart tomorrow. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes, which is now almost 10. Thank you.